The most shocking business move in automotive history just happened right under our noses, and almost nobody saw it coming. What if I told you that Ford, the company that gave America the assembly line, just executed a masterpiece of corporate strategy that could fundamentally reshape Tesla's entire business model and potentially derail Elon Musk's vision for the future of transportation? The question isn't whether this will change everything, because it already has. The real question is whether America is ready for what comes next. And by the end of this investigation, you'll understand exactly why this story could determine the fate of the electric vehicle revolution in the United States. Here's what everyone missed while they were distracted by quarterly earnings reports and celebrity CEO tweets. In May 2023, Ford CEO Jim Farley made a phone call that would send shockwaves through Silicon Valley boardrooms and Detroit executive suites alike. But this wasn't just any ordinary business call. This was the moment when Ford decided to abandon the traditional rules of corporate competition and do something that seemed impossible just months before. They were about to make a deal with their biggest rival, and the implications of this decision would ripple through the entire automotive industry for decades to come. To understand why this matters, we need to go back to the beginning of America's electric vehicle dream. For over a decade, Tesla has positioned itself as the revolutionary force that would drag the automotive industry kicking and screaming into the 21st century. Elon Musk's master plan wasn't just about selling cars. It was about creating an entirely new ecosystem where Tesla would control every aspect of the electric vehicle experience, from the battery technology to the charging infrastructure to the software that runs it all. This wasn't just business strategy, this was technological warfare designed to make traditional automakers obsolete. Tesla built the most extensive fast-charging network in North America, with over 12,000 supercharger stations strategically placed across the continent, creating what many considered an insurmountable competitive advantage. Every Tesla owner could travel anywhere in America with confidence, knowing they could always find a place to charge their vehicle. Meanwhile, owners of electric vehicles made by Ford, General Motors, Volkswagen, and every other manufacturer were stuck with a fragmented patchwork of different charging networks, many of which were unreliable, slower, or simply didn't exist where they needed to go. The promise of electric vehicles was supposed to revolutionize how Americans think about transportation, energy independence, and environmental responsibility. Politicians promised that widespread adoption of electric vehicles would reduce our dependence on foreign oil, create millions of new jobs in clean technology sectors, and help America lead the world in the fight against climate change. Major automakers invested hundreds of billions of dollars developing new electric platforms, building battery factories, and redesigning their entire product lineups around electric powertrains. Ford alone committed over $50 billion to electrification, betting the future of the company on vehicles like the F-150 Lightning, the Mustang Mach-E, and the E-Transit commercial van. The economic implications of this fragmented approach were staggering. Ford discovered that their electric vehicle customers were experiencing what industry analysts called range anxiety, not because their vehicles couldn't travel far enough on a single charge, but because finding reliable, fast charging outside of Tesla's network was becoming a major source of customer frustration. Internal Ford research showed that potential electric vehicle buyers consistently cited charging infrastructure as their primary concern when considering whether to purchase an electric vehicle, ranking it even higher than purchase price or vehicle performance. This wasn't just a minor inconvenience, this was an existential threat to Ford's electric vehicle ambitions. If customers couldn't charge their Ford electric vehicles as easily as they could charge a Tesla, then Ford's $50 billion investment in electrification was in serious jeopardy. But here's where the story gets really interesting, because what happened next reveals just how desperate the situation had become for traditional automakers. Industry insiders knew that building a charging network comparable to Tesla's supercharger system would require an investment of at least $20 billion and take more than a decade to complete. Assuming everything went perfectly, and there were no regulatory obstacles, supply chain disruptions, or technical setbacks. Even if Ford, General Motors, Stellantis, and every other major automaker pooled their resources, they would still be years behind Tesla, and facing the enormous challenge of convincing property owners, utilities, and local governments to approve thousands of new charging locations. The mathematics of the situation were brutally simple. Tesla had a 10-year head start, unlimited access to capital, and complete control over their charging network expansion timeline, while traditional automakers were stuck in a coordination nightmare trying to build competing infrastructure from scratch. The geopolitical implications were becoming impossible to ignore. As Chinese automakers like BYD expanded internationally with integrated charging systems, American policymakers realized that if domestic manufacturers couldn't compete effectively, the United States risked losing leadership in transportation technology that would define the next century. This wasn't just about corporate profits. This was about national security and America's ability to lead the global transition to sustainable transportation. But here's where the story takes an unexpected twist that nobody saw coming. In spring 2023, Jim Farley and his Ford executive team reached a radical conclusion that went against every instinct of traditional automotive competition. Instead of continuing to pour billions into building a competing charging network that might never match Tesla's capabilities, Ford decided to do something unprecedented in automotive history. They were going to ask their biggest competitor for help, and the audacity of this decision would either save Ford's electric vehicle program or hand Tesla even more market dominance. The phone call between Jim Farley and Elon Musk lasted less than an hour, but the implications would reshape the entire electric vehicle industry. Ford wasn't just asking for supercharger access. They were essentially admitting that Tesla had won the charging infrastructure war, and that traditional automakers needed a new competition strategy. This wasn't a partnership between equals. This was Ford acknowledging that Tesla's technological advantages were so significant that joining them made more sense than trying to beat them. The agreement details were staggering. Starting in early 2024, Ford electric vehicle owners would gain access to over 12,000 Tesla supercharger locations across North America, effectively doubling fast charging options overnight. But the real bombshell was Ford's commitment to adopt Tesla's charging connector for all future vehicles starting in 2025. But here's where this story reveals its true significance. Because Ford's decision wasn't just about solving their charging problem. This was a calculated strategic gamble that could fundamentally alter competitive dynamics across the entire automotive industry. By gaining supercharger access, Ford immediately eliminated one of the biggest barriers preventing customers from choosing Ford over Tesla. Ford executives calculated that reliable, widespread fast-charging access was worth more to customers than maintaining technological independence. But they also understood this partnership would give Tesla unprecedented influence over America's charging infrastructure development, and potentially billions in new revenue from non-Tesla customers. The ripple effects spread through the automotive industry faster than anyone anticipated. Within weeks of Ford's announcement, General Motors, Stellantis, Volvo, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and virtually every other major automaker announced similar Tesla partnerships. The industry-standard combined charging system that had dominated for nearly a decade was suddenly being abandoned in favor of Tesla's connector, which Tesla quickly rebranded as the North American Charging Standard, to sound like an open specification rather than Tesla-controlled technology. This wasn't just business development. This was complete capitulation by traditional automotive industry to Tesla's technological dominance. But here's the most shocking part of this entire story, and what reveals the true genius of Tesla's long-term strategy. By opening their supercharger network to competitors, Tesla wasn't being generous or trying to accelerate electric vehicle adoption. They were executing a plan that would generate billions in new revenue while making it much more difficult for traditional automakers to develop competitive alternatives to Tesla's integrated mobility approach. Every time a Ford customer uses a Tesla supercharger, Tesla collects revenue. Every time General Motors customers charge at Tesla stations, Tesla profits. Tesla has transformed their biggest competitive advantage into a profit center that benefits from competitors' electric vehicle sales success. The economic implications are staggering when you consider America's electric vehicle transition scale. Industry analysts project Tesla could generate over $5 billion annually in charging revenue from non-Tesla customers by 2030, assuming current growth trends continue. This revenue stream would be almost entirely profit, since Tesla already invested in building the supercharger network, and the marginal cost of serving additional customers is minimal. Tesla managed to turn their charging infrastructure from a cost center supporting Tesla vehicle sales into a standalone business generating substantial profits, regardless of whether customers buy Tesla vehicles or choose competitors. Ford's partnership with Tesla reveals a fundamental shift in how the automotive industry thinks about competition and technological development. Traditional automakers spent the first decade of electric vehicle revolution trying to replicate Tesla's success by developing their own versions of everything Tesla created. They built battery factories, developed software platforms, and attempted to create charging networks. Results were mixed at best, with most struggling to match Tesla's performance, efficiency, and user experience, despite having decades of manufacturing expertise and vast financial resources. Ford's decision represents a new approach, acknowledging technological specialization reality in the modern economy. Instead of trying to be good at everything, Ford focuses on what they do best, designing and manufacturing vehicles appealing to mainstream American consumers, while leveraging Tesla's expertise where Tesla has demonstrated clear technological superiority. This isn't just a charging partnership. It's a preview of how the automotive industry might evolve as software and infrastructure become increasingly important transportation experience components. The social and cultural implications extend far beyond corporate strategy and quarterly earnings. For millions of American consumers, Ford's Tesla deal eliminates one of the biggest psychological barriers to electric vehicle adoption. Range anxiety wasn't just about how far electric vehicles could travel. It was about fear of being stranded with a dead battery and no convenient recharging option. By gaining Tesla supercharger network access, Ford electric vehicle owners can now travel anywhere in North America with the same confidence as Tesla owners. This psychological shift could significantly accelerate electric vehicle adoption rates, particularly among consumers hesitant to transition from gasoline vehicles. What happens next will determine whether Ford's gamble pays off for American consumers, workers, and the broader goal of establishing the United States as the global leader in clean transportation technology. Ford's strategy centers on delivering affordable electric vehicles that can compete with Tesla on price, while offering mainstream appeal. Their upcoming $30,000 electric pickup truck represents their most ambitious attempt to prove traditional automakers can leverage manufacturing expertise and dealer networks to compete effectively with Tesla, even while depending on Tesla's charging infrastructure. If Ford can deliver an affordable electric truck appealing to mainstream consumers while offering Tesla supercharger access, they might prove that competitor partnerships can be more effective than direct technological competition. However, if Ford's vehicles fail to gain significant market share, it will demonstrate that Tesla's advantages extend far beyond charging infrastructure into fundamental electric vehicle design, manufacturing, and consumer appeal aspects. The broader implications extend to every American caring about domestic manufacturing future, energy independence, and technological leadership in the global economy. Ford's Tesla partnership represents both promise and peril of America's electric transportation transition, demonstrating pragmatic flexibility, allowing American companies to find solutions through cooperation, rather than wasteful competition, while revealing how quickly technological advantages translate into market dominance, shaping choices available to consumers, competitors, and policymakers. Stay tuned for our next investigation revealing how Chinese automakers use artificial intelligence and government subsidies to challenge American electric vehicle dominance.